Hey, Sean and Alex back here with you today. Today what I want to do is we're going to discuss nutrition success principles. Last week I talked about our Client Kickstart guidebook and some of the things that are in there. We spoke about some obstacles, and within the guidebook we also have what we call our nutrition success principles. So there's 4 principles that we teach that are just basically provide a foundation and a framework to work from when trying to lay out a nutritional plan. So the first principle is stop focusing exclusively on calories. We want to teach you how to feed your body the nutrition that it needs to take you from where you are to where you want to be. And in order to do that, if you're just exclusively focusing on calories, it doesn't mean you're going to get good quality nutrition. You agree with that, Alex?
I agree with that. I think the more important thing to focus on is macronutrients instead. Protein, carbs, and fats versus a number of calories.
Yep. So I completely agree with that. So that is where your calories are coming from. Proteins, carbohydrates, and fats each play a different role in your body and within your metabolism, and it's important to work on the balance there. So principle number 1 again, stop focusing exclusively on the calories. Number 2, graze. Eat small, frequent meals throughout the day. Ideally, every few hours, we want to try to pair some things together. So trying to get a lean protein, a good, what I would call a fat-burning carbohydrate, trying to get in some vegetables, some fibrous carbohydrates, and some healthy fat. So I think that's what Alex is talking about when you're talking about balancing some of your
I think that's especially beneficial for people that struggle with their appetite. If you only eat once or twice a day, you're going to have binge eating towards the end of the day. You're going to be super hungry, versus if you're having the smaller meals, 4 to 6 maybe, you're going to be more satiated with your appetite.
Agree. And even if you can't eat 4 to 6 meals a day, just because your schedule doesn't allow it, it's okay. Just try. You got to try to get better balance in your nutrition, because again, proteins, carbs, fats, they all play a different role in your metabolism and all feed your body the nutrients it needs to function optimally. Principle number 3 is minimizing or avoiding simple sugars and refined and processed carbohydrates. It's very difficult to do that because it's in everything that we eat. There are over 50 names for sugar on food labels, and it's really difficult to avoid. Sugar, though, is not the enemy, and I think that's an important point, because sugar can be very helpful for you in trying to get you to where you want to go. The key is where you strategically place the intake of the sugar over the course of your day. Alex, you want to speak to that?
Absolutely. I think it's not good to get obsessive about sugar and anything really. Nothing is evil, not protein, carbs, or fat, but it's about the ratio. And also, when you eat the processed carbohydrates, they have a tendency, they're very easy to eat, and it keeps going and going, and they're the easiest thing to eat, which is why it's best to avoid those processed foods, of course.
Yeah. So the simple carbohydrates are going to be best utilized too, like before you work out. It's going to stimulate your blood sugar. It's going to allow you to have energy when you do your workout, and it'll give you the most bang for your buck at that time because you're going to burn it. If you're going to fuel your tank and you're going to sit at a desk all day, you're going to burn things very, very slowly. And what's going to happen is it's going to spike your blood sugar. If you spike your blood sugar, it stimulates the insulin hormone, and that is going to cause a fat storage response. So you're just trying to minimize that by getting better balance in your foods. And if you have a protein or a fat with a sugar, it will slow that absorption down as well.
Absolutely. If you're getting protein in with every meal, it totally changes the way you digest your meals.
Yep.
Especially with fat in the picture, that slows gastric emptying. So if there's fat in your meal, that's going to slow down your digestion.
Yep, absolutely. And so refined and processed sugar too also increases your level of inflammation. So inflammation is something that you might not feel, you can't really see it. If you have, you hurt your knee or something, okay, you have some inflammation, you might have some swelling, it hurts. Makes sense. Systemically within your body, you can also get inflammation, but you don't really see it or you feel it, but you can get symptoms of bloating. You might start to gain some weight. You may have some headaches. You might not be sleeping as well. Joint aches, things like that is an inflammatory marker, an inflammatory response in your body, but you might not recognize it. So those are things just to keep your eye on when you're having those processed foods, because those are all symptoms of inflammation. Our last principle is moving into just really speaking to the dieter out there. Take it one meal at a time. There's not one meal that ever made anybody fat. It's the thoughts, feelings, and emotions tied to those meals or that meal that creates the cycle. Yes. And that cycle allows you to continue to do what you're doing, which is not making progress. So if you want this year to be different, and I know that you do, you got to break that cycle. So you got to take it one meal at a time. You have to remove the emotional component, or at least identify it and recognize it in the moment, so then you can change it. Agree?
I agree with that. Don't get obsessive about the details. Nutrient timing and stuff, it matters a small portion of your results, but At the end of the day, it's what you consume throughout the entire day. So if you mess up one meal or something, it doesn't screw up your entire day or your entire week or your entire diet. It's just one tiny little thing. And you can account for it later in the day
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
necessary.
Totally agree. So really what we're talking about with all these principles, don't just focus on the calories. Graze and eat smaller frequent meals throughout the day. Avoid or minimize processed and simple sugars. Take it one meal at a time. So they're all pretty common sense. But really what we're speaking to is flexible dieting. We're not talking about a diet. We're talking about how you can be flexible within your diet, because you're never not going to have pizza again. You're never not going to have that cheesecake again, or whatever it is that you really like. You're going to have it, and that's okay. But how can you be flexible within your dieting? Alex has personal experience with flexible dieting, so I'm going to have him speak to that now with what he's done and how has it affected him.
So I've recently incorporated a flexible dieting strategy for myself, and I track macronutrients on an application like MyFitnessPal, which we use here, or another application, MyMacros Plus. And basically what I'm able to do with this is at the end of the day, I've hit my macros that I need to hit, the certain amount of carbs, protein, and fat, and the results will come, end of story. I don't get obsessive about, oh, I missed a meal, or I ate too much at this meal. I can account for any of those things. I can enter a social situation where there's temptations everywhere, and it's not going to affect my results because I account for it with the other things that I eat throughout the day. It's given me a lot of control over my life, if you will. I'm not worrying about what I'm eating all the time because I'm very in control of those things now. So it's really helped me a lot in that regard.
So I think Alex brings up a very good point, control. When you feel that you're in control, you can really make good decisions. One of the greatest ways or the best ways to stay in control is to never allow yourself to get really, really hungry. If you get really, really hungry, it doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter what you think I say. Because your body's going to take over. The reptilian part of your brain is going to say, I'm in survival mode. I'm going to get to something that's going to give me the fastest energy possible. And guess what? That's going to be a simple sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So by balancing your macros, as Alex is talking about, and having a flexible diet, you can still do those things, but you don't have to feel guilty about it.
No, nothing is evil. I think people fall into the trap of, quote, clean eating, and it limits you to like chicken and broccoli and lean beef here maybe, and these limited food groups. But in a real situation where you have temptations around you, it's not really realistic for a long-term solution. But with this strategy, you can account for these little things in your diet, and it's not going to affect your results. And that's just science, not the emotional thing like, oh, this is the way it should be. It's just science. Your body responds to macronutrients. End of story.
Yeah, agree. I mean, that's just the way your body works. So, we don't get a user's manual when we're born. There's a lot of marketing out there that's very deceptive and
Yes.
creates a lot of confusion. So we're just telling you, this is just how your body works. We're just delivering the message, and we're here to help you in any way that we can to help you work on that balance. So current clients, we will continue to work with you on helping you to balance your macronutrients better. We're going to provide more information and education on this subject through seminars and webinars, as well as doing things like this. And if you're out there and you're not currently working with us and want more information, you can go to www.restorationfitness.com and request a free consultation. And again, you can check us out. We'll be here again next week with more information in a video. And I'm going to leave it at that, Alex. You got anything else?
Fantastic. I've got nothing else to say.
Okay, awesome. All right, be good. We'll see you next week.